Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, or whatever ungodly hour you find yourself listening. We are the Bards Against Humanity, here to strum your loot and absolutely wreck your ear holes. So prepare for a podcast that'll hit harder than a nat one in bed, because we're coming in your ear.
That's right. Today it is, of course, me, Leo. Hello. And our gorgeous Dan, of course.
I like being called gorgeous.
Damn right you do. Yes, that's right. Today we are going to go through Dan's favorite class, being the Ranger.
Hell yeah. You can blame it all you want in the comments, but I don't give a fuck. I love this class.
Yeah, it's so good I've never even glanced at it.
Well, after today.
I think it's great for role playing, and if you're into role play, which I assume you must be considering this is your favorite class, it's great. But
you hadn't glanced at it.
Well, of course I've glanced at it. I'm not a monster. I read it and then knew I'd never read it again. You know what I mean? I read it once and just knew we weren't destined for each other. It wasn't meant to be. I was born to be a fighter, barbarian, rogue, sorcerer, warlock, wizard, paladin, druid, cleric, bard, artificer.
Quite literally everything else.
Everything else but a ranger.
No, it's the first class I ever played, so it's obviously got some bias there, but I've just loved every ranger I've played or even conceptualized compared to other classes. It's just possibly my favorite class to mess around with.
Well, what exactly is a ranger, Dan? Walk us through him. Or her.
What exactly is a ranger?
For them. Rangers can be non-binary.
So the stereotypical ranger is kind of almost like a folk hero in a sense. So they're usually from like the ridges of towns and cities, or from like farmland. Maybe they grew up in a tribe in the wild. They basically have a connection to nature and like animals and creatures, a little like the druid, and they do take some spellcasting inspiration from the druid. But basically they're made to be like explorers, hunters, that kind of vibe. So they really kind of shine through in exploration-based campaigns, or campaigns that are, maybe tied to a specific creature type, at least how the old rangers used to play. So they have kind of like a wide variety of skill sets, but I think that's kind of what a lot of people had a problem with. They were good at a few things, but not absolutely masterful at one or two, and their stat spread can be quite weird depending on how you want to play them. But other than that, they are quite a cool class to mess around with and have a think about.
So what I'm hearing is that a ranger is pretty much man, like humankind, before, like as hunter-gatherers, before technology. That is kind of any argument there?
I won't argue with your conclusion of that. I will say that it's not a wrong description by any means. They are kind of like a hunter gatherer vibe with a little bit of magic mixed in. And yes, stereotypically they do use a bow quite a lot. Melee rangers don't tend to work very well.
Well, of course, because range is in the name. You got to shoot from.
Yeah.
Range.
Everyone who plays a ranger thinks of Legolas from The Lord of the Rings, but he tends to fit more into the ranged fighter vibe than an actual ranger. But usually the stereotypical ranger that you'll find in fantasy is something of like of an elf with a bow and who's quite a good shot. That's pretty much the stereotypical ranger that you'll get and the vibe that you'll be getting with for this class. The subclasses kind of define it in a different way.
Let's have a look-see look at what happens at level 1. So, level 1, my dear lord, I am having a Alright, 1 second, I'm just having a bit of a technical issue. Motherfucker. We're all good. So, what we have here at level 1, you have favorite enemy, which I think everyone might not know the name of, but will definitely know exactly what it is, where you always have the Hunter's Mark spell prepared. You can cast it twice without expending a spell slot, and you regain all expended uses of this ability when you finish a long rest. The number of times you cast the spell without a spell slot increases when you reach certain ranger levels. such as I believe the most times that you can cast it is when you're level 20. You can cast it up to 6 times, going up from 2. For I say first level, you obviously get 2. Then at 5th, you get 3. 9th, you get 4. 13th, you get 5. And 17th level, you get 6.
Scales at your proficiency bonus.
Wow. Yeah. Probably should have just said it that way.
It would have been an
Spade is
easier
spade.
way rather than going the whole like lengthy description way, but you know what? It's fine.
We're here. Now, in 2014, it was a little bit different. So, favorite enemy. Beginning at first level, you have significant experience studying, tracking, hunting, and even talking to certain type of enemy. Choose your favorite type of enemy, be it aberrations, beasts, celestials, constructs, dragons, elementals, fiends, giants, monstrosities, oozes, plants, or undead. Alternatively, you can select 2 races of humanoids, such as gnolls or orcs, Beyonce, or orcs, as favorite enemies. You have. That's how you pronounce that, gnolls, right? I understand the gnolls that we faced when I originally. Well, so I'm not the first time I've made that Beyonce joke, by the way. Shock horror, I reuse my own jokes. I assume gnolls is Gnolls. That's gnolls, right?
You'd be correct in that.
Yeah, gotta be. Anyway, going back. Sorry, Beyonce, we have to move on. You have advantage on wisdom, survival checks to track your favorite enemy, as well as intelligence checks to recall information about them. When you gain this feature, you can learn 1 language spoken by your favorite enemies if they speak one at all. You choose 1 additional favorite enemy, as well as an associated language at 6th and 14th level. As you gain levels, your choices should reflect the types of monsters you've encountered in your adventures. Now, it is weird that kind of going through first the first level, that Hunter's Mark isn't necessarily here, which is really weird. Like, there isn't a special ability for Hunter's Mark. So I'm glad that, you know, they're now identifying that this is a thing that people like using. This is you're the Hunter's Mark class. Let's show it off in level 1.
It is really nice, and what a lot of people actually had a problem with when the new when the new updates to Ranger came out, was that it focused too much on Hunter's Mark. Which, when I first thought about it, I was like, oh, it's like they focus on 1 spell, but then, you know, it's the Ranger's like entire class identity is being able to cast Hunter's Mark, because they're the only class that can, bar some subclasses in the old 2014 edition of 5e, which I think was crazy. Being able to focus on it and always having the spell prepared without having to actually select it as one of your spells when you gain spellcasting is good, in my opinion. And being able to cast that spell for free is nice.
Free things are always good. We always say it. Thank you for the free thing. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate it.
Free good is free good.
Free good is free good. You'll have to wait till next year for that shirt. Free good is free good. Oh, my days. Anyway, what else do they now get at level 1?
I'll do it the way that you've been doing it, Leo. You have your 2024 first, then the old. So now at level 1, they have weapon masteries. Hey! They saw Battle Master Fighters when they were doing 2024 updates and thought everyone should get maneuvers, so hence weapon masteries. So at level 1, your training with weapons allows you to use mastery properties of 2 kinds of weapon of your choice, with which you have proficiency, such as longbows and short swords. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can change the kinds of weapons you choose. For example, you could switch to using the mastery properties of scimitars or longswords, which is quite nice. I'm not actually sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the fighter guy, but when we were going through fighter, do they have the option to switch their master?
I'm not certain. They surely must do. I'd be shocked if it was just Ranger. I'm pretty certain they do, but do not hold me to that. Let us know in the comment section below if I'm being an idiot. I like how any class that looks like it would favor a weapon has weapon mastery. So even obviously Rangers can cast spells that's not necessarily their go-to, if that makes sense. Like, they'll have, yes, Hunter's Mark is technically a spell, but that's not their main gisty poo, if you will.
Not their main gisty poo, no. They are third casters. So I don't think they gain spells higher than, correct me if I'm wrong, I'll just consult the table. They'll only get. Actually, no, they're half casters. Excuse me.
I was about to say they barely podium. They get bronze.
No, they're half casters, so they'll only have at maximum 5th level spells. So they gain their first 5th level at level 17, which is quite late. But let's be honest, most of the spells you're going to be casting is something like Goodberry or Hunter's Mark to begin with, really. Maybe even Zephyr Strike.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what kind of spells they do have, considering you now have a... normally you would just burn your spell slots on Hunter's Mark. Now that that's gone, what kind of vibe is there?
I was there.
Now,
yeah.
We'll
figure that out as we go.
I will mention there are a lot of optional level 1 abilities for the Ranger, which have not been looked at for the 2024 version that were in the 2015 version, such as Favored Foe. Slightly different, but it is considered optional. This is where it replaces the favored enemy feature and works with the foe slayer feature, which I assume we will get onto. You gain no benefit from replacing the feature and don't qualify for anything in the game that requires it. Oof, spooky start. When you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can call on your mystical bond with nature. Fucking a tree does not give you a mystical bond. You have to be a ranger to mark the target as your favorite enemy for 1 minute or until you lose concentration. The first time on each of your turns when you hit the favorite enemy, you deal damage to it, including when you mark it. You increase that damage by 1d4. You can use this feature to mark a favorite enemy a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. The feature's damage increases when you reach certain levels to the class, 1d6 at 6th level and 1d8 at 14th. Far more similar to the favorite enemy that we spoke about earlier. So I wonder whether or not they just completely binned off the original favorite enemy and was like, no, actually favorite foe kind of works a bit more.
I think that's what they were going for, because instead of it being just like an ingrained mark of the class, like a spell, but not a spell at the same time, they just replace it with instead using your proficiency bonus to cast Hunter's Mark, which Hunter's Mark is infinitely better than Favorite Foe, because Favorite Foe is once a turn, whereas Hunter's Mark is every time you hit an enemy, you get the extra damage. Plus, you will always have advantage on perception or survival checks to track the enemy, basically. Being able to cast Hunter's Mark over when we're talking about Favorite Foe is better in every single way. So it's basically like they took Favorite Foe instead of it being an optional feature and instead had it be Hunter's Mark the whole way through. So instead of it scaling, say, like Favorite Foe would have, you get more consistent damage output by having it be a d6 with Hunter's Mark consistently.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, which is better.
100%.
One of the other things that we do actually have to go over for Rangers is they now get their spellcasting at 1st level rather than what used to be 2nd level.
Yes.
Yeah. And as the same with the Druid, their Wisdom is their spellcasting stat for their spells.
Very nice.
Very nice indeed.
That's true, yeah. About to say 2014 they got it at 2nd level, but now it's 1st level. Love to see that. Even though they've taken quite a bit away, because they've also even taken away at 1st level anyway, Natural Explorer. This is where you are particularly familiar with one type of natural environment and are adept to traveling and surviving in such regions. Some of these terrains can be Arctic, coast, desert, forest, grassland, mountain, swamp, or the Underdark. When you make an intelligence or wisdom check related to your favorite terrain, your proficiency bonus is doubled if you are using a skill that you're proficient in. This is going to be a lot of reading, guys. Get your listening ears on. We're about to list some bullet points, boy. So, when traveling for an hour or more in your favorite terrain, you do gain the following benefits. Difficult terrain doesn't slow your enemies' travel. Your group doesn't become lost except by magical means. Even when you are engaged in another activity while traveling, such as foraging, navigating, or tracking, you remain alert to danger. If you are traveling alone, you can move more stealthily at a normal pace. When you forage, you find twice as much food as you normally would, And with tracking other creatures, you can also learn their exact number, their sizes, and if they're single or not.
One correction I do have to make, just in case anyone is confused. The first bullet point you made for the old Ranger, Leo, it's difficult terrain doesn't slow your group's travel, not doesn't slow your enemies.
Oh, did I say enemies?
You did say enemies, yeah.
It doesn't slow your enemies. Move fast. Run faster, fatty. And also in that last bullet point, they do not care about your relationship status. It's how long ago they passed through the area.
Favorite terrain isn't actually really a thing with the new Ranger. They've more focused on their ability to track rather than their ability to navigate. I think with the new Ranger, they tried to make them more focused rather than give them a broad spectrum of abilities, because unfortunately a lot of DMs never really did the whole like full-on like exploration rules and stuff. It was kind of more of let's do a D20, see how the day goes and see what goes when you're doing traveling sequences.
Yeah,
because they were more of the longer
fair.
distances versus kind of like shorter ones, like, we're going from one town to the other, which may take us 2 days of travel, so we're going to have a session or two on exploration. Only if you do it right does it actually become entertaining. Afterwards, it just becomes tedious if your DM isn't running it right.
I think even if your DM is running it right, that those kind of sessions can feel long, they can feel tedious at all, potentially, and I understand that's when your Ranger can flourish, but it's when your other characters don't. So you're kind of just appealing to maybe one person. So I do get why they've kind of pulled the reins on this sort of content. Ranger's not the first class we've done, but like none of the other ones kind of go through montage moving. There's an actual traversal. There's not a lot of traversal content. So I get why they got rid of it. I'm there.
I do.
I was over here, but now I'm there.
I'm here for it. One of the other things that I still haven't managed to mention on spellcasting, because it is a new change and it's a great change, in my opinion. And I think the opinion of quite a lot of people, is Ranger spellcasting before was spells known, like a sorcerer. They were never able to change their spells. So once they selected a spell and once that was part of your spell list, that was it. Stuck there forever. And at most, you would only ever have 11 spells known. You didn't exactly have a wide variety. Now, however, Rangers are prepared casters. So at the end of a long rest, they can exchange any number of spells that they currently have with spells from the Ranger spell list. And they can have a maximum of 15 once they hit level 19 of spells they can have prepared at any given time.
I think, now this could be wrong. Welcome to Leo's massive assumption. But I think all half-casters can change their spells.
I believe so, but I don't think sorcerers can still. Because the whole thing was sorcerers got their magic from their bloodline, so their spells were always something that they had forever. Actually, never mind. Excuse me. Sorcerers now are prepared spellcasters. That is one thing I don't think we went over in our sorcerer episode. I'll have to make an amendment.
Damn right we didn't. Damn right we didn't.
So
we're bringing it up now. It's all for the devoted listeners who listen to the sorcerers. This is your Easter egg. But it's actually, we're making it very obvious, so make it less obvious, Dan. Right. So yeah, there's been a lot of changes, a lot of moving around for level 1 for the Ranger. Of course, back in 2014, you then got your spell casting, but of course, you now get it in level 1 in 2024. So Dan, what do you now get at level 2?
You now get at level 2 is the feature Deft Explorer, which is now made part of the base class instead of optional. So thanks to your travels, you gain the following benefits. You gain expertise in one of your skills in which you lack expertise, which you're already proficient in to begin with. So you gain a skill proficiency, which is huge, because I don't believe Rangers before got skill expertise, which is really, really nice. Being able to be proficient in, be able to be an expert in stealth, even survival, perception is all fantastic. And you also get to know 2 languages of your choice from languages table, which there's a language table somewhere, but you can figure that out on your own because I'm not going through them all. But you get
What?
2 extra languages and 1 skill proficiency, 1 skill expertise at level 2.
Which is pretty funny considering we started off being like, oh, it's a jack of all trades but master of none, and yet in level 2 they've kind of clocked that, and it's like, boom, now you can be an expert in something. And from one of our optional things, as we saw, I believe it was favorite foe, where you were able to learn their language.
Yeah, you got to choose one language. But funnily enough, is it didn't actually shoehorn you to choosing a language from that favorite enemy. Like if you chose an orc, for example, as one of your 2 humanoids, one of your 2 humanoid choices, if you decided to go with humanoid, you didn't actually get shoehorned into learning Orcish. You just got to choose a language. They just recommended that if you're making a favorite enemy, you take their language.
Yeah, so I like this. I'm glad this is now in.
So am I. It's good to see my boys getting some love.
It's good to see something anyway. Please.
Yeah.
I beg of you.
Please. So what's the next thing they now get at level 2?
So they also get a fighting style. So you can gain a fighting style feat of your choice. Instead of choosing one of those feats, you can choose the option below, which is Druidic Warrior, where you can learn 2 Druid cantrips of your choice from the Druid spells list. Guidance and Wisp would probably be the ones I'd veer more towards, but those chosen cantrips count as ranger spells for you, and your wisdom is your spellcasting ability for them. Whenever you gain a ranger level, you can replace one of these cantrip with another druid cantrip, making you feel like maybe a 2/3 caster. Wouldn't you say, Dan?
It's just you get to feel more like a sorcerer does with the amount of cantrips that they own.
And also, sorry, to compare it back into 2014, you obviously still got your fighting style, but you did not, but no, Druidic, blah. Too many I's, too many U's, too many Y. Why would you make it like this? Where Druidic Warrior was there as well, especially for the Ranger. And exactly the same way. So, personally, it reads better. If you want to know what the other fighting style feats are, you can go and find out. Instead of, say, me listing them all, which there are a cornucopia. So once again, like the languages, Google it. Yeah. I know you've come to this podcast to not Google stuff, but Ranger has a lot of hyperlinks, and we are spooked by it.
I'll give you a couple. I'll give you the usual fighting style that people choose is archery, because it gives you a +2 to your attack rolls with ranged weapons, because normally you're choosing a bow with ranger anyway. So being able to hit a little bit more consistently is nice. That's just the one that usually people go for, the one that I usually go for. But you have the options, I think, of like blind fighting and all that kind of crap.
Yeah. Yeah, 2-weapon fighting, thrown weapon fighting, dueling, they're all there.
They're all there. But usually the most handy one is either Druidic Warrior or archery, in my semi-expert opinion.
What do you mean semi? I guess you're forever DM.
I'm a forever DM. I don't get to play Rangers unless I make them an enemy.
Get to play Ranger. Now, what you are missing out on from 2014 is that they've also gotten rid of Primeval Awareness, which beginning at third level, you can use your action and expend 1 Ranger spell slot to focus your awareness on the region around you. For 1 minute per level of the spell slot you expend, you can sense whether the following types of creatures are present within 1 mile of you, or up to 6 miles if you're in your favorite terrain: aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. This feature doesn't reveal the creature's location or number. Now, I see why they got rid of this. We're getting rid of favorite terrain. I'm shocked it hasn't been swapped with something else, not like them. Well, I get it. It's a minute's a long ass time, by the way. A minute's a long ass time. Like if someone's trying to get away, like, oh, are they still near me? Won't work for that. It'll kind of only work if they're sneaking around in a city, and then you use it. But even then, your GM would be like, and he's inside you.
Or like Kane was doing in the campaign we just finished with Killian. I'd like to know if there's any fae, fiends, undead, or others that are around me right now. No? Cool.
Yeah, and that's your whole action. And I don't know whether or not it's supposed to be taken within combat, considering it's considered an action. I don't know. I can see why it got deleted.
Yeah, it was an optional feature to begin with, so it was something that you could choose to have as part of your class. You didn't necessarily have to.
Anyway, what happens at level 3?
Level 3, nowadays, you get your Ranger subclass. This is the only thing that you'll get at 3rd level in the new and updated Ranger. But you get to choose from one of the 4 subclasses: Beastmaster, Fey Wanderer, Gloomstalker, and Hunter. And as per usual with the way we're doing things now, is we are doing each of the subclasses in their own video. So look forward to those 4 videos coming soon.
Yep, as a little Christmas gift. What subclass will we cover next week? Ooh, which is technically more of a ghost. Oh, which makes it look like I'm trying to get someone. Christmas.
The Ghost of Christmas subclasses. Ooh.
Ooh.
We got to make some additions to A Christmas Carol now. A D&D version.
Good lord. Good lord. I am DM of future past. This is what you did to me. Why did they do it? Why? I just don't understand. Yes, you see how heartbroken he is? That's from the decisions you made. Ooh.
Ooh. Feel bad for TPKing your players. Ooh.
DM of future present. Why did they do it? I don't understand. They confused the fuck out of me. I don't understand why they did it. Ooh, you can see you've irritated the fuck out of him. I think we can guess what Ghost of Future DM is like. Okay, fair enough. Stop being a dick.
He's a nervous wreck.
Anyway, before we give Dan PTSD, at level 4. At level 4, you get your first ASI, your ability score improvement feat, and you gain this feature at level 8, level 12, and level 16. So 4 feats in total, or of course you can improve your blank by 1 or 2. The usual.
Yeah,
it's pretty standard.
And I don't know if we've actually mentioned it before, but beforehand, the ability score increases happened at, the usual every 4th level and level 19. Well, that has been replaced with the epic boon, where you can potentially choose an epic boon or a regular feat.
Yeah, but I choose an epic boon. Don't be a bitch.
Oh yeah, you get to do something much cooler. You choose something much cooler.
Choose the cooler thing. It's not rocket science. You choose the cooler thing.
And what you also got at 4th level beforehand that you don't get now is when you gain. It was an optional feature, martial versatility, and whenever you gained an ASI or a feat, you had the option to choose to replace your fighting style with one of the others that was available to you.
Huh, you're right. Technically, about to say, as a fighter, you can do so automatically, but I guess for a ranger, you cannot. Huh.
Yep. So your fighting style is what you're stuck with nowadays. But beforehand, you got to change it. I suppose it might have been like a flavorful thing for your character to, represent how you've grown as a warrior, that you've changed and adapted your skills.
But now you got to stick with that phase. If you thought archery was a phrase and like, Mom, it's not a phase, and then moved on to druidic warrior, can't do that anymore. Your emo phase is for life. For life. No turning away from the black eyeliner. Yeah. Anyway, at level 5, you get yourself an extra attack. So you can attack twice instead of once whenever you take the attack action on your turn. And guess what? It's exactly the same as 2014. So not much to say. Thank you very much. Boss, what happens now at level 6?
Level 6? Level 6. So at level 6 in the new and improved, which you never got before, is the feature called roving. So your speed increases by 10 feet while you aren't wearing heavy armor, and you also have a climb speed and a swim speed equal to your speed. As Kane said before, speed. Speed. After reading that, I'm utterly convinced that Rangers did have a feature that did increase their movement speed, but I also could be completely mistaken that it could have been part of a subclass, but I'm not sure. I could also be using things with Monk.
Well, here's the thing. There is an optional feature that existed back at level 1, where it replaces your natural explorer feature, where you would get canny at first level, where you can choose one of your skill proficiencies, and your proficiency bonus is doubled for an ability check you make using that chosen skill, and you can speak, read, and write 2 additional languages of your choice, which sounds a little familiar. Then at 6th level, you get roving, which is where your walking speed increases by 5, including your climbing and swimming speed. And something else that I think may just come up at level 10. But it was considered optional at the time. However, I think now they're just integrating it to make it non-optional. Compulsory, if you will.
That's it, yes. Because I think the optional features came out in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which was a book that fixed so much for players and DMs alike. And gave so many more options, which is where all these optional things came out for class. So yeah, now that you say it, roving got a buff. The speed you got doubled from 5 to 10.
Yep.
And tireless will come later.
Thank you for increasing the speed. And I actually kind of prefer it not being where it's not just I don't know, Steve writing about it. And it's like, it's kind of optional, but only if you have Tasha's Cauldron. It's now part of the subclass because it makes sense for the subclass. You're supposed to be able to traverse around these areas. And instead of having kind of like your favorite terrain, you are your favorite terrain. So I am the terrain. I am the grassland. I am the terrain. The swamp. It makes more sense considering, you know, if you start your campaign in one area and halfway through you go to the Underdark per se, you will not get punished because that's not your favorite terrain. So I like the fact that we're still being able to traverse, maybe not as specialized as you optionally could in 2014, but we're still being able to traverse the land in a way that other classes cannot. So, yes, like there is an 8th level thing back in 2014, which does not seem to exist for 2024, and that's at level 8. Moving through non-magical difficult terrain costs you no extra movement. You can also pass through non-magical plants without being slowed by them and without taking damage from them if they have thorns, spines, or a similar hazard. In addition, you have advantage on saving throws against plants that are magically created or manipulated to impede movement, such as those created by the Entangle spell.
Yes.
Does this just never happen? Does this just so rarely happen? It just shouldn't be a feature for a whole class.
It's a strange one because, again, it's, you know, leaning into the whole explorer thing. It's kind of to make rangers a little bit more deft at moving around, especially if you're in like any encounter scenario. It doesn't have to be necessarily combat. It can be kind of more of an environmental encounter where, say, you might have come across like a swamp. You can move through the swamp, say, without it being considered difficult terrain for you. Probably like it. Donkey. So like you said, more than likely it was a scenario that probably came up so little that it was not necessary, although it was quite nice to, you know, not be worried about being impeded by difficult terrain. It's, in my eyes, it's a loss because it's not something that necessarily needed to be taken away, but it could have been melded in with some other ability, like, say, roving, for example.
Absolutely, because then we zigzag, because then we have a level 9 ability in 2024, and there's no level 9 ability in 2014, and that's expertise, where you choose 2 of your skill proficiencies where you lack expertise, and you gain expertise in those skills.
Or expertise.
What?
I think there was a thing when the UA for the 2024 Player's Handbook was coming out. The classes were being broken down by categories. And I think there was a couple of classes that were called like the expertise classes. And Ranger and Rogue were part of that. I need to look at that breakdown more. Basically, anything that was in the expertise class would have abilities in their base classes that allowed them to gain skill expertise. So,
which
like
does,
Rogues, I think, was it Rogues were one of the only classes beforehand that kind of gained skill expertise.
Well, it makes sense. You are supposedly an expert of the land. Just because you are an expert of yourself, because you are the terrain.
Look at me, I am the move now.
God damn it. Dan, what clusterfuck happens at level 10?
At level 10, we now have a wonderful feature that you might remember that I completely forgot about that was in the Def Explorer optional feature. You now have Tireless as part of the base class without needing to be an optional feature. So Primal Forces now help fuel you on your journeys, granting you the following benefit. As a magic action, you can give yourself temporary hit points equal to 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier with a minimum of 1. You can use this action a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, a minimum of once, and regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. You can also, whenever you finish a short rest, your exhaustion level, if any, decreases by 1. Which is huge, being able to decrease your exhaustion, especially if you're part of a campaign that is incredibly resource intensive and
very impatient.
Very impatient, and if your DM loves to throw things at you in your long rest, being able to just take a breather for an hour and remove one of your exhaustion points is incredible. And this ability is the exact same as it was before with Deft Explorer. It's the exact same, except for the charges of the gaining temporary hit points is not based on your Widow modifier. It's not based on your wisdom modifier. It was originally based on your proficiency bonus, the number of times that you could use it per long rest. That's the only change they made to it. But still, it's a fantastic ability. Although still situational with exhaustion levels, because some DMs are quite scared to throw out exhaustion. Most of the times that I've used it, I've only ever managed to bring you up to 3 points of exhaustion, because I don't want to just outright kill you guys because you're tired.
Like I'm already tired in general life. Now you're telling me my D&D character is tired? Fucking hell, am I projecting?
I am going for realism, Leo.
So you tried sleeping, but you realized that you hadn't touched your Candy Crush on your phone yet today. So you spend 2 hours doing that. Turn that long rest into a short rest, and you are now exhausted. God damn it.
Yeah, exhaustion is situational, but it is a rule that I do think DMs, if you don't, should play around with, because you should be trying to make your players expend their resources, or at least putting them in situations where they'll have to. So exhaustion is a cool mechanic to play around with. Just be careful you don't decide to, at level 3, push them to 6 levels of exhaustion, TPK, and your campaign's over. That's not something you should do.
Unless you want to end the campaign early. Though granted, I probably
really not happy with the story you're playing.
Yeah. God, I hate what I did with this character. All right, Steven, I want you to roll a d6. Oof, 6? You all have 6 points of exhaustion. Steve just killed you. Wasn't me.
I'm telling you guys, the dice that Steve rolled is cursed, and it cursed you all.
The heart of the dice. Oof.
It was not nice.
So what did you use to get at level 10?
So what you used to get at level 10 was an optional feature and one part of the main class. So we'll go with the feature Hide in Plain Sight first. So starting at 10th level, you could spend a minute crafting camouflage for yourself. You must have access to fresh mud, dirt, plants, soot, and other naturally occurring materials with which to create your camouflage. Once you're camouflaged in this way, you can try to hide yourself by pressing up against a solid surface, such as a tree or a wall, that is at least as tall and as wide as you are. You gain a plus 10 bonus to dexterity stealth checks, as long as you remain there without moving or taking actions. Once you move or take an action or a reaction, you must camouflage yourself again to gain this benefit. This was fucking useless. I never, ever used this.
Just what happens if I move along a wall? Does that mean for every time I move along a wall, I have to spend another minute camouflaging myself?
Yes. Do you know what does this but better? And for your whole group?
This guy's
Pass without a trace.
Ah, yes, that's what I meant to say.
Pass without a trace gives you and your party a plus 10 bonus to stealth, and you can still move.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, this is just poop. No wonder I didn't like the Ranger. That was your 10th level ability. Numero 10.
Numero 10. The subclasses is what made Ranger for me. But
Numero 5 Dustos.
Yeah. And at 10th level, right, which was the kicker for it, you had access to Pass Without a Trace anyway. Because it's a second level fucking spell.
Oof.
You had second level spell slots.
It's right there in front of you, man. Just fucking use it.
And instead of using a whole minute, you just had to use an action and concentrate on the spell for up to an hour. It was brutal. The ability might as well have not fucking been there. It was only really there for, what was it? If you were going off on your own, being really stealthy, I'm just going to stay in this spot and I'm going to watch what's happening. I'm going to disguise myself as the rocks on the enemy's castle and I'm just going to watch as the regular security guards walk by and I can, maybe glean some information. But every time they pass, you'd have to make a stealth check.
Ice cake, Katniss. Of course, I know how to make myself look like moss and rock.
Yeah, it was basically
cake.
it was basically PETA from Hunger Games, and I can say this with absolute confidence. You can prove me wrong in the comments. That is the only time that ability has ever been useful in the Hunger Games. The only time that hide in plain sight, the Ranger feature at 10th level, was ever useful was in the Hunger Games.
I hid myself like a cake.
Yes, real or cake. No, it's PETA.
Oh my god, I cannot wait to eat this delicious cake. Oh my god, it's me. PETA? What are you doing?
PETA, the horse is here.
So, but you could replace it. Now, you could replace it with something called Nature's Veil. So, in this, you draw on the powers of nature to hide yourself from view briefly. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm not holding my breath here now. As a bonus action, you can magically become invisible, along with any equipment you're wearing or carrying until the start of your next turn. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Now, this is helpful.
A lot more helpful than the other ability, I'll tell you that much.
Not hard. It's not that hard.
Especially since Rangers never got access to this spell invisibility.
Yeah, but it doesn't also make a lot of sense. How many things in nature do you know are invisible?
They're not. The flavor you're going for is, imagine, say you're basically like running through the forest. Use your bonus action to basically use the powers of nature around you to hide you very, very briefly. Imagine it like you pop out like a magical pulse, and the trees somehow shift their leaves to basically break your line of sight with your enemy. As an example.
The correct answer there, Dan, was so many things you just can't see them. Was the correct answer.
Sorry. I'll take Dan's over eagerness for 5, please, Bob.
What is needy? I know that's Jeopardy, but I don't give a shit.
It's okay. Needy is a 3-letter word. It's apparently spelled Dan. I give needy people to like Ranger, okay? It's really cool.
It's really cool, I swear. I know we're giving a lot of hate, but it's something that is pretty funny is that it's this isn't the last time you're going to hear about Nature's Veil. Now, at level 13 in 2024, firstly, I just want to put out there that this class is potentially the most unorganized class that we've ever gone through. We got different abilities coming at different levels, and it's an absolute clusterfuck, and I hate it. However, at level 13, you get Restless Hunter. You get no ability in level 13 back in 2014. No ability. Level 13. Relentless Hunter. Taking damage can't break your concentration on Hunter's Mark. That's it.
Fantastic.
Super handy. Kind of shocked it's not earlier.
I kind of would be as well, but I understand the whole balancing aspect of just giving an earlier level access to a free D6 extra damage every single attack.
I'm not saying level 3, I'm saying like maybe level 10. Maybe level 12. Maybe I'm a stickler. Maybe I just want free stuff earlier.
Yeah.
Hotel, Trivago.
I do understand that. I would, honestly, I probably would have preferred it at level 10 myself, but still, it's in and around where most campaigns go up to level-wise. So it's still
That's true.
It's still nice that most people get to use this ability, and just taking damage, not being able to break your concentration on Hunter's Mark is just, it's phenomenal, because that was one of the main drawbacks of Hunter's Mark, was it required concentration. It's just all around.
And if you got slapped around silly, you were fucked. That Hunter Mark is gone, and you're just a dude in a cape begging for trees. However, since that one was so short, I'll also go through level 14. So in 2024, you may recognize the name of this one. It's Nature's Veil. Welcome. You can now this is the spirits of nature. To magically hide yourself. As a bonus action, you can give yourself the invisible condition until the start of your next turn. Once again, this features a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Not proficiency bonus like it was at level 10 in 2014. I mean, at this stage, you're probably pretty close to 5.
No.
To 5 uses.
No.
You don't think so?
Just no. If anything,
Well,
if anything,
you're a
wisdom
wisdom
is you're a wisdom caster. But let's be honest, most of your damage utility comes from outside of your spellcasting.
Oh,
Rangers
that's
would
true.
primarily focus on dexterity and constitution, or maybe strength, depending on how you wanted to play a ranger, over wisdom. Because whenever I've played rangers, I've never really taken a lot of spells that required like a DC saving throw or anything like that. Now I would be more inclined to make sure my wisdom is at least, say, +2 on a modifier, which would be nice. I've never ever played a ranger that had more wisdom than another stat, say.
Now, granted, I will put this out to you because I have just done it recently, where I've made a character and I've managed to get +4 in 3 stats as a level 1 character. Granted, I have a lot of stats that are pretty poop. Half my stats are awful, but the other half really, really good. So technically, you're not a jack of all trades.
If you really want to push the boundary, do it. But
you can do it. You can do it. But is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Anyway, in 2014, in 2014's 14th level, you got Vanish, where you could use the hide action as a bonus action on your turn. Also, you can't be tracked by non-magical means unless you choose to leave the trail, which is just a bit shit.
It is a bit shit. Having the ability to use hide as a bonus action should have come much earlier. And let's be honest, a lot of enemies probably weren't tracking you. They were just, if you were at 14th level, they were probably just scrying or some equivalent.
They're just, or just following you in, just deep inside you. Now, level 17, which isn't in 2014, this ability I think is a game changer. What is it, Dan?
It's called Precise Hunter, and you have advantage on attack rolls against creatures currently marked by your hunters. You're almost never going to be missing your strikes against a marked creature.
Yeah, and you have two strikes. Pow pow. I think I like this a lot. The Rangers, obviously the Hunter's Mark class. It's a bit of a shame we haven't done a bit more with it. I guess you don't break concentration. Now you have advantage. I don't know how much further you can push it, but I'm here for it. Yes, please. Thank you. Very simple, but a real game changer for me anyway, regarding Hunter's Mark.
It is indeed. Just and it's not even a charged ability. It's the the use of this ability comes primarily from the amount of times that you can cast Hunter's Mark. And at this level, you should be able to cast it 6 times per long rest for free.
Which is pretty handy.
Yeah.
Pretty handy. Now, is it as good as some of the other classes, level 17s? I don't know. But for this, as an isolated class, it does improve it massively.
It really, really does. And especially not being able to have your concentration dropped on Hunter's Mark unless you choose to end your concentration or you're incapacitated by the enemy in some way, shape, or form. Your Hunter's Mark is almost always going to be up and live, and the ability to, as a bonus action, reapply it on a subsequent turn just makes it all the better.
Yeah, no, it's just so much nicer. I really appreciate it. I think it's whopper. Well, since that was such a short one, why don't you go through level 18 as well, you cheeky fucker?
Give me a lot of things. Sorry, I was taking a sip of my water. I was prepared for you to take this one.
Okay. I'll do more reading. That's fine.
That's okay. I'll do it. I'm ready now.
I'll inform our listeners while you do fuck up.
Your 18th level feature for 2024 is called Feral Senses. So your connection to the forces of nature grants you blind sight to a range of 30 feet. Blind sight just means you will, like, if you're blindfolded, eyes closed, whatever, you are always going to know what's within 30 feet of you. It's like you can see in a 30-foot radius constantly. Think of yourself like Daredevil, but for 30 feet range.
I'm done.
Which means invisible creatures within 30 feet of you do not gain the benefits of the invisibility condition against you, because you know they're there. It's quite strong. Blind sight on anything is quite strong. Although True Sight's better. True Sight is just the vision that you want, but Blind Sight is incredible. And beforehand, in the old edition of the Ranger, it was still called Feral Senses, but it was a bit different. So you gain preternatural, that's the word, senses that help you fight
I
creatures
agree.
you can't see. When you attack a creature you can't see, your inability to see it doesn't impose disadvantage on your attack rolls against it. You are also aware of the location of any invisible creature within 30 feet of you, provided that that creature isn't hidden from you and you also aren't blinded or deafened. It was just a very lengthy way of saying you kind of have blind sight.
Yeah, I was wondering when you were going to get to that. It is pretty much the same. It's a bit extra wordy. Though if you're blinded in the new version, you will still be able to see it, for you have blind sight. Close your two eyes and see with your inner eye.
Exactly.
Oh, natured one. Oh, natured one.
Honestly.
The leaves are brightly rustling. Oh, holy leaves. At level 19, of course, you get your epic boon feat, which are super awesome. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Definitely get them. Nom 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 nom. I'm not exactly, it depends on the type of ranger you want to be. Like, you could choose the boon of dimensional travel, or you can teleport 30 feet immediately after you take the attack, or magic action. But like I said, it depends on the kind of ranger you want to be. If you want to be a long distance one and want to be zip zooping around the place, there are obviously other epic boon feats that you can pick up. It depends. I think that's potentially my issue with the ranger, where there's so much dependency on the kind of direction you want to go in. I don't know, but the epic boon feat are awesome. Yes, thank you. Guzzle guzzle. A lot.
I actually have a list of 4 that I think are a little bit on the same wavelength of the boon of dimensional travel. Because the boon of dimensional travel makes the new ranger, feel a little like the Horizon Walker, because the Horizon Walker got a lot of movement abilities and being able to kind of like move around the battlefield quite a lot.
Yeah.
So the boon of dimensional travel definitely makes you feel like that, and just being able to teleport immediately up to 30 feet kind of gave you some battlefield positioning that you wouldn't have otherwise had. However, you can also take the boon of speed, which is just always going to be good for a ranger. Extra movement speed by increasing your speed by 30 is incredible. And also, as a bonus action, being able to take the disengage action, which will also end the grappled condition on you. Especially if you're a ranged ranger, you don't exactly want to be in a grappled condition, because it's never going to be fun. There is also the boon of the night spirit, which while you're in dim light or darkness, you can give yourself the invisibility condition as a bonus action, which, we have that feature earlier on. And the condition ends on you immediately after you take an action, bonus action, or reaction. But you also have shadowy form, so while you're in dim light or darkness, you have a resistance to all damage except psychic and radiant. This one fits a lot more with the vibe of the Gloomstalker than the base ranger, but still, if you have a bit of like a darkness vibe going on with either your party members or yourself, it's not a bad shout to take.
No, it's not.
There is also a boon of combat prowess, which gives you peerless aim, which is once per turn. When you miss with an attack roll, you can choose to hit instead.
Ooh, I may disagree a bit with that. You already have advantage on your hunter's marked enemy. I can understand why, especially at level 19, because you're not a martial fighter per se, because you're a half caster. Maybe. I think though what's interesting, I do think it depends on what subclass you've gone into. Depends on your epic boon. 100%.
It's not as useful, say, as you did, because I think when I was making this list, I was not taking into account the advantage you get from Hunter's Mark, so that's a very valid point. However, if you want to go flavored, like you never miss your fucking shot, take an epic boon just as like a flex slot to say, I'm going to hit guaranteed once per turn. Because nat ones do happen, people.
And they can happen twice.
Then there is also, if you want to completely undermine feral senses, you could just take the boon of true sight and gain true sight to a range of 60 feet. Then that way,
but that
as a ranger, your eyes miss nothing.
I see everything.
See everything.
All right, Dan. Do you want me to go through? Oh yeah, you went through level 18. I'll go through level 20. The capstone ability. In 2024, you got Foe Slayer. The damage dice on your hunter's mark is a D10 rather than a D6. In 2014, it was Foe Slayer, where once on each of your turns you can add your wisdom modifier to the attack roll or the damage roll out of an attack you make against one of your favorite enemies. You can choose to use this feature before or after the roll, but before any of the effects of the roll are applied. I actually prefer 2014's, which I know you're not going to like. I kind of do. Like you're a wisdom caster. You're a wisdom caster.
Once again, your wisdom is never going to be high as a ranger. And
well, it is now.
It only applies to your favorite enemies, which you have very few of. You might not necessarily be going against one of your favorite enemies. At least with the new Foe Slayer, your hunter's mark is a D10 rather than a D6. It's extra consistent damage. Well, don't get me wrong, the old one was it was shit. It was probably one of the worst capstone abilities of any class.
Well, I think hunter's mark should have gone up. This should be a D12 to be a capstone, or multiple, or something. I did think favorite enemies where your hunter's mark would be your favorite enemy. I don't think that's the case, actually, because if I remember correctly, you have your favorite terrain and favorite enemies that way. I did think of it as like, oh, if my enemy has a 100 mark, I can, once per turn, either use my wisdom modifier against him or affect the damage roll. Since it's favorite enemies, I'm not massively impressed with either. I think this one should be this D10 to rather than a D6. This should be a fucking level 14, and this should be 2d10. Like, this is your capstone ability. A barbarian gets his a fighter gets his 4th attack.
The new Foe Slayer is leagues better than the old, however still sucks in comparison, and I did cry a little bit when I saw it, because I was really hoping the capstone of the Rangers would be fixed. It was, just not to the extent I was hoping for. Yeah. I still love the new changes to Ranger. It's better than it was. Although I can understand why folks wouldn't like how it's better than it was before, but to me at least it's a better direction for the class. You lose that vibe of you're like an adept explorer. You lose that kind of flavor that you're like you're one with the terrains that you go through, but that kind of felt like it was stepping on the toes of say the toes of the druid a little bit. I understand that people mightn't like they took out the whole favorite enemy aspect, or favorite foe. However, the class is now going in a direction of it's a generalized good hunter. It's not specific at targeting down certain enemies. It's just good at being able to hunt things down.
Yeah, I like how it's become a bit more streamlined. It has gotten rid of a lot of stuff. Now, I do know that a lot of the stuff that we went through, the optional stuff, you had to trade them in, but you would always trade them in, as far as I can see. There was none of the abilities where it was like, oh, you'd have to swap it, but you get such nicer shit for it. So I mean, I can see why I never, like, when you go through the ranger class or when you go through, let's say, the rogue class, for me the rogue class is just far more appealing, and I do think it's about the same. I know the subclasses for the ranger are really interesting, and it is the actual class features that kind of bring it down, and I think unfortunately it's still the case, especially in later stages. If you're doing a campaign to level 5 or 6, go ranger, go for it. You won't feel that pain until you progress past level 10, in my opinion.
Rangers do excel
Obviously, that's
in the early levels more so than they do in the later. That was unfortunately always the case, especially with the old Ranger. However,
I just think it still is.
It does still have that problem, in my opinion. However, I still do prefer the new Ranger to the old, and I do think they did it justice, just not enough, if you get me.
I agree. No, I'm there. This is definitely an improvement, but I think this might be my lowest class rating, and you're gonna hate me for it. So, do you want the good news? Do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
I'll let you go first.
I think this is a 5. Yeah, I think this Ranger class is a 5 out of 10.
I wasn't going to say, do you want to give your reasoning, but you did give your reasoning already.
Yeah,
so I completely understand.
Like, it's a great class at the beginning. I just think if it was hurdles, if it was 400-meter hurdles, the first 150, 200 meters, it's keeping up there, and then it hits 210, and it falls in the water, it falls on the hurdle. People have passed, they're trying to set up the new event, and he's still on that same hurdle. I struggle. I'm 5 out of 10. I think my mama told me if I had nothing nice to say nothing at all. So 5 out of 10.
That's fair. I of course want to give this a 10 out of 10 just because it's my favorite. But I have to take into account everything, so bias cannot be a factor.
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
I have to give it a 6 for how it would play mechanically. It's not as good as the classes because apparently my average for giving out class ratings is 7. This is not as good as other classes that we've gone through so far. I don't think it'll be as good as some of the other classes that we will continue to go through. It looks like it'll play better than the old Rangers, in my opinion. Good changes across the board. It just wasn't enough to make it a class that people will love and not just tolerate. However, it does still play incredibly well in the early game, but does tend to fall off and feel the fatigue of trying to keep up with other classes as the levels progress. So I think 6 is probably the highest I should be giving it, although in my heart it will always be a 10 out of 10.
Fair enough, Dan. Fair enough. It's very grown up of you. It is your own podcast. You can kind of say whatever the fuck you want.
I can, but I also feel like I should be, showing some level of professionalism, even though I'm a raving child in this thing.
Oh God! And that, dear listener, oh no, we need to say something else now. We can't end it there.
We can't end it there. No.
You know what, Dan? That's very grown up. That's very grown up of you. I don't think I did the same with Fighter, though I do think actually Fighter is a pretty good class. If I say so myself.
Your rating for Fighter was fair. It was fair. It was a fantastic class, and will be.
It got improvements, which just wasn't necessary. And like the old Ranger was very close to like Circle of the Sea levels of
shitness.
Shit. Yeah. Well, we've thank God we put in that. Got to make sure we shit on the Circle of the Sea.
Once an episode. Always.
Once an episode. Yeah. And that, dear listeners, brings us to the end of another session where the dice are hard, the jokes are harder, and our standards are at an all-time low. If you enjoyed this chaos, be sure to follow and subscribe. If not, at least we finished, even if you didn't. Goodbye. And don't forget to, give the Ranger at least a chance. I'm sure you'll have some fun if you try to play one for even just one shot. Love you guys.